What's up, YouTube? Daniel back here for another video. So I am coming to you basically from a street corner near my place, and I want to shoot from here. Essentially, first off, because I like the background, and second off, because essentially, I came from a moment that I want to talk to you guys about that I think is crazy, um, and that is when you are in your old normal compared to your new normal, how much life changes. And if you're growing in this area, your old normal, how you were feeling before, you know, probably ungrateful, in a rush, frustrated, trying to control, anxiety, fear, doubt, worry, all things of the devil. And you thought that was normal because that's how most of society functions. But when you begin to work on this part internally of yourself, beginning with the habits, and then you start to feel better and better, and you go back to this way you were feeling before, like for me, for instance, today, you realize that your old normal has now become like your new low moment. And it's crazy because I've only been doing on this for like 3 months, and it's all thanks to my coach, who I always shout out in my videos, Mike. But I mean, this is something I never would have understood or been in a place where I can assimilate where I was compared to where I am now until I had this moment. And I made a story about it on my Instagram. You guys can follow it. I'll put it in the link below. But it's crazy how the perspective changes so much, and especially the aspect of gratitude and how important that is. I think that's something that I didn't understand the importance of for so long, especially when I was young. I always had this like very, you can say ungrateful mindset. Growing up, essentially, I had you could say a privileged life. I was born as a first generation Canadian, in a first world country. My parents came from South America. My sister, my younger sister, was also born here as well. So we were raised, with not having to worry about many things. My dad put always food on the table for us. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so we always received, love and care consistently. And as you grow up, you kind of get this, mindset that's normal. Like that's, normal for everybody. And I explained this in another video, of how that basic reality got that bubble got bursted by my ex-girlfriend, who caused me to act in a way where basically I was living out of ego for so many years. But essentially the point is that mindset, I feel like, has stuck with me for so long. And I always understood or knew about the concept of gratitude. And I understood people that were grateful or not grateful, but I didn't know the power, like the real power of gratitude, and how important it actually is to help you elevate to your frequency that frequency of like abundance, love, getting out of those frequencies of like fear, shame, guilt, what else, anger, pride, like these low levels. And that essentially was what I was feeling today as I was biking. I went to a spot in Greektown, which is like a street full of like Greek cuisine, stuff like that, stores in Toronto. And essentially on my way there, I wasn't able to share as much. I was in the office, and that's one important thing as well, is how important sharing is, your journey and where your thoughts are at. Like the camera is your shrink, but essentially not doing that, and just allowing myself not to share and just be in my head. I essentially just got into that place like so quickly, like especially today, because I was so connected today in the morning, like super spiritual high for sure. You can see the stories I posted on that. Basically just got so much crazy wisdom, so connected. And you realize how 24/7 it actually is, and how you can go from that to going to like your old normal, which is your new low, and then going back up to where I am now, where it's like a new understanding, new perspective, new level, and realizing that everything is perfect, and everything that you think is negative or happens to you is meant to happen to you. And the thing as well of like people wanting answers is one thing that was me as well, because if you're ungrateful and you don't like where you're at, you consistently want something to change, like someone turning a page or flipping a switch, and it's like, you have your lights off and lights on, and essentially you have everything you want. But when you're living in that mindset, you essentially realize that that mindset that you operate at is never going to change if you add something else. Like, if you're ungrateful right now with nothing and you add everything, you're still going to be ungrateful but with everything, which is even worse. And it's actually harder to be grateful with more things. So I experienced that when I was working on this area of relationships, and how, I was ungrateful in the beginning because I didn't have, the life I wanted, the lifestyle I wanted. But then I had everything I wanted. I had everything that 21-year-old started the journey wanting, like all the experiences, all the wisdom in that area, all the confidence, everything like that, the mentality, like the mindset to get and approach the women I wanted and not be scared, not have fear. And then I was in that place and still ungrateful. And then you start to wonder, like, what's wrong? That's where you start to really question things, and that's where you need the spiritual side. This is why I searched the spiritual side, and I made the video about, finding the devil and confronting the devil and having to rediscover myself. And that was because, if you're just living for the flesh, you're never going to actually reach, the next level of peace, of gratitude. That's actually what you want. Society tells you want like a new goal, this feeling of euphoria or excitement. But what we actually want is peace and gratitude. Every man knows this. And the way I can tell you for men that you know this is when you find that one girl, your soulmate, it could be that one girl that lets you experience this, that just you find peace with them, where you just be able to sit with them, and you can sit with them all day and they just make your life peaceful. It's really like having an angelic energy in the room. Everything's just calm, peaceful. That's when you realize that's what you were looking for. All these men like I was myself, like frantic, thinking, oh, it's not this, it's that, like always looking for the next thing. You realize when you sit in a peaceful moment like that, that's actually what your heart wants, your soul wants. Your ego and your flesh want, the feeling, the chase, the drama. They want something to stimulate and chase a feeling with, and convince you sort of chase a feeling with. So you're working for your ego, which is working for the devil. But essentially, the point I'm trying to make here is, when right now, if you're functioning out of ingratitude, you don't have peace, you're always frantic, you're always maybe even upset, you're frustrated with the situation, which goes along with ingratitude. If you're not grateful, you always think there's something more, so you're just upset, and like you have this like unsatisfied energy to you, and that's like literally the worst energy. And that was me like 4 months ago. But if you're in that place, you have to realize that gratitude, which is God, and peace is your only way out. And that's why spirituality is important. It's the most important thing. Because if you don't have that, no matter what level you're at, and you let the devil seep in and catch you with ingratitude and let that poison basically, it's not even your mind, it's just your heart and your spirit, that's when you can never find peace. Because peace is found in gratitude and be grateful for what you have. You can have nothing and be grateful and be happy than the person that has millions or anything external that you want, that you think you need, that you're lacking, and they can have all of that and be ungrateful, and you're actually more richer than they are. And with society, they all look at the external, but I've mentioned this before, I'll mention this again, and I honestly believe this like crazy now, is the only thing that's real is what you don't see. And the people that are in that understanding of how spiritual works, the energy of it, not thinking and functioning that way, it's operating with not thinking, living through your spirit, you realize more and more, the more you work on yourself and you grow in this area, you realize the only thing that's actually real is how you're feeling. And that energy that's emitting from you internally, that will manifest into everything externally that you're going to attract with it. And it's crazy how fast this area improves if you start to do the work with it. Like, honestly, there's days where 2 days go by and it feels like a month went by. Like, just the the growth and the perspective change you get that would normally take you like a month to get, if you tap into that spiritual and understand it's not about thinking, it's about feeling and being an energy, you get so much more wisdom and information and things that you can't see when you're just operating in the physical level and thinking it's about a method or something to do or something to add or a way to like act for a bit to get a result, or like looking for an answer, like I said, of some equation that you're trying to make in your head because you're thinking. When you realize it's about removing all of that thinking and operating out of spirit with the habits that you have, you really see that. I'm just gonna make sure this is on. You really see that all the growth is in the spiritual. Like it's crazy, crazy, crazy. And if you're working on this area, this is something that you'll see. But this is something that I've seen like crazy, and it's hard to explain unless you're there. And the people that are connected are there, and that's why I have so much appreciation for the people that I've met in this space that have helped me connect, like my mentor, my coach, and I would put everything on the line just to keep them close by and working with them, because once you feel this area and understand this area and are in line with this area and experience what it is to actually live through your spirit, which is how you're meant to live, you never want to go back. And you realize that everything is backwards, and it just changes everything forever, like literally forever. So that's why the habits, the vices, stuff like that, removing things that will cause your frequency to drop like crazy. Like now, if you ask me to have a drink or do some kind of drug or any kind of vice, I'd rather die than join you. And that's literally exactly how I feel. Even with wake up time, like if I'd rather die than wake up like 20 minutes later than my wake up time. Like it's crazy how a part of me, the habits are that allow me to, operate in this way. And it's like the no habits, the bedtime, these things that are consistently, changing you for the better. So like I said, the journey, there's no answer to the journey. It's always evolving based on your situation. But like I said, everything's perfect. Anything that God puts in your path is for you to grow out of. And when you understand it's a spiritual game and not a physical game, like I said, the growth you get in like 2 days, a week, even 3 days, whatever it is, feels like 2 months, 3 months have gone by in the physical. It's crazy to explain, hard to explain, but that is one thing that I am seeing now. And it's hasn't even been 3 months yet that I've been working with my coach on this, and he's gonna watch this, and like I don't want to think about it because thinking it's the devil, but I just feel so much crazy growth. Like it's gonna happen for both of us, because as he grows, he's gonna keep growing, I'm gonna keep growing, and I'm gonna keep growing as well as Alt, and it's crazy. So this is literally the new 1%, literally, because as I walk around and I try to see how I would connect with people, I realize like so few people have like even 2 of the habits that I have, like let alone all the other ones that I've added or removed, things I used to do before that most people do. But the vice is the biggest one. Like everyone has at least one vice. Everyone usually doesn't track their food, doesn't track their macros. Everyone doesn't have a bedtime they wake up at every single day of the year, no matter if it's New Year, Chinese New Year, Hanukkah, Christmas, I don't know, Easter, whatever it is. It does not matter. You wake up at the same time every day. And just those alone, like, reading the Bible as well, working out twice a day, if needed for frequency, like doing burpees twice a day, like for round 2. Like no one has those habits. It's crazy. Like if you stack all those things over so much, like even a little bit of time, but over like months and years, it's crazy how much you're winning, not only in the physical game, but you're so connected and aligned with the spiritual. And that's the whole thing I'm realizing now. That's the actual where the game is at. That's where the eternal is. Instead of working for the physical, you start working for the spiritual, start working for God and His kingdom, and not this physical 3D thing you see, which is, people that are stuck in this, it's just the devil trying to use the 3D and the physical they see in front of you to chase and, you know, live for him and his desires, which is your ego calling you to do this and that, and like, do this so you look better this way, or yeah, do this. It's all just working for ego, and it's like either it's ego or faith. You can't have, there's no middle ground, you know. And it's, yeah, God or the devil. So that is something I want to reflect on quickly, because like I said, the growth is crazy, but the way your internal state changes and how much you don't notice it until you have the old feeling back, and you realize like, wow, like once you're in that feeling, you get out of it and you think back like, wow, I actually felt like this like 3 months ago, like almost every day. And it's something that I can't really describe until you're there, but when you're in touch with this area, it's everything, man. It's literally crazy. So I want to shoot that quickly. It's been a little while, but like I said, this area is something I'm focusing on like crazy. Anything I get, any perspective I get, ways to help you guys is always going to be shown here. Anyone that follows the channel stays to the end of the videos. Much love. I appreciate you guys. You guys can, you know, follow me on Instagram as well. Like and subscribe if you guys get value from it. But like I said, this is a journey that I'm going on. I know it's going to help myself like crazy, grow like crazy, but also the people that are attracted to it, that God puts in my path and are meant to, you know, align with it. So there's no more chasing and wanting something to work out the way I want. There's God's timing, there's our timing, and with God's timing, He never misses. God's timing is always perfect, whether we see it or not, whether we think it's right or wrong. He never misses, and it's always on time and perfect. So always realize that. Like I said, it's faith or fear, God or the devil, and ego or love. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy your days. That's the whole goal of every day. Be grateful and at peace no matter what happens. And I promise you, if you guys stay in that state and find a way to end the day being grateful and at peace and make that your new normal, it's always being grateful, always being at peace, things will change like crazy. And I say crazy a lot. We talked about this with my coach as well, because when you get the wisdom that you get, it's so unreal that it's just crazy. It doesn't make sense. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. We will talk soon. In the meantime, as always, keep killing it.